Good Work Podcast, hosted by Terrell Strayhorn and Jaquin Johnson. We specialize in taking a deep dive into issues that truly matter. Each episode unpacks the challenges and opportunities facing today's leaders, from classrooms to boardrooms, offering insights that inspire real change. By redefining success, we're changing lives, empowering people everywhere to create environments where everyone feels a sense of belonging, whether at home, work, or school. So hey, sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we explore the issues shaping our futures, one meaningful conversation at a time. Let's go!
Welcome. Hello to everyone out there, and welcome to another episode of Do Good Work Podcast. I'm your co-host, Terrell Strayhorn, joined in the studio, the virtual studio, by my co-host, Jaquin Johnson, and we have an exciting show for you today. Looking forward to it. It's September 28th, 2025. And the Do Good Word podcast is going live. So y'all know what to do. Help us spread the word. Drop the link, share it across platforms. Let folks know that it's time for the podcast. They have not missed it. It is time to tune in. You can catch us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X. And we'll share it both on our pages, on Do Good Work, and certainly on my own. But before we go too far, I'm going to kick it over to Jaquin to start it off with our show. Welcome.
Yes, sir. So using the first letter of your last name, describe your day or week. Johnson, J, Strayhorn, S. I'll go first. I'll go with junk. I had some time to sort through my email and delete a lot of things that were not needed. So I think I cleared about 800 emails that were junk, and now ready for the next week. Yourself?
That is awesome. I'm doing great. Fantastic. I am going to go with screaming. So lots of my coworkers and friends will probably fall out to hear me say that because I always say screaming. But screaming today is particularly kind of relevant. So went to the Texans game, and the Texans won against the Tennessee Titans, and I was hollering and screaming and dancing and got to be on the Jumbotron for a second and got my little picture. I had to show it to y'all later in the show. But yeah, screaming is the word for S. All right, y'all know how it is. Take the first letter of your last name. If you are Brown, it's a B. Put it in the chat, put it on the chat wherever you are, and we will find it, whether it's on LinkedIn, on X, on YouTube. There we go. We got one. Surprising. Yes, surprising that I have a hat on backwards and I got my text on, probably a little surprising. All right, anybody else? Put it out there, show it on the chat. We will certainly put it on the screen for you. Even if we had to type it in manually, I'm not exactly shared across all platforms yet, so y'all give me a second. You see any on your end, Jaquin?
I don't see any on LinkedIn yet or X.
All right, y'all get those words into these different channels so that we can share it. First letter of your last name. What word would describe your day, mood, week? I don't know why I don't see the show. Anyway.
Where?
On Facebook?
Haven't checked that.
I don't see it. Oh no. But I can drop the link. All right. So until then, and then I wanted to, LinkedIn is out there. All right. So y'all know what to do. Just share and like and share. and help us spread the word about the show, get folks to tune in. Usually, I try to do some hashtags on X because
It's on Facebook.
that's how you get up there. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tag Do Good Work in a post or something so I can share out?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we are, and it is Saturday. No, it's Sunday. Sunday. That's right. We went to Sundays, and so hopefully you all are enjoying the new day, same time. And it's Sunday evening, Sunday night football, Sunday after church, Sunday. My one word, I was going to do S for sing. And I was going to sing a gospel song. I really was, but I don't know, something hit me a little different before then. So one day I'm going to do
What
sing.
song were you going to sing?
I saw this, my brother sent this video on the group chat of Callie Day singing I Know the Lord Will Make a Way. And boy, that song will wipe you right on out. So I was hearing her singing. I went downstairs. I was playing the song. Yeah. Anyway, it was a moment. So one day I might cut a clip of that in here. All right. So now
we're gonna hold you to that too.
You said what?
We're gonna hold you to it.
Okay, do that. Tune in to the Do Good Work podcast. All right, let's get into this. So we've got plenty of things to cover and a good segment, hopefully with a little clip to share with you all. But you know how we normally do a job corner and offer some advice for folks who are trying to upskill, uptool, get out there. Uh-oh, we got another one. Thank you, Andrew. Motivate. It is the word. You got to motivate. Get motivated. Get excited. There's a song. I don't want to play it because I don't own the rights to it. And I know what that means. They're going to take our video down. But there's a song I play every Friday. Get motivated. And it's like the word you picked, Andrew. Good to see you. Congratulations to all of those who are watching the show. Andrew is a graduate student at Eastern Illinois University, and he is about to graduate in December with his master's degree. And I look forward to celebrating, shouting it out in the audience, being somewhere in the house. And so
wait, did we have another graduate recently in the fam?
Oh, yes. But wait, is she on the show? I don't know. She might not be.
I don't know, but it don't matter.
But special shout out to Aaliyah, who also earned her degree as a licensed practical nurse, LPN in the house, and so many times. So listen, if y'all got good news, earned a degree, completed a job, got a promotion, cleaned up your closet, whatever, put it in the chat. We'll celebrate it for you. Mm-hmm. And of course, because I'm hoping to get them on the show, the Houston Texans won today against the Tennessee Titans. 26-0, 20-something to 0.
Okay.
0.
Not too much.
0, Jaquin. Didn't even get on the board.
I was gonna say junk today in reference that game, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it.
You know, at first it was like a good game because it was tight, but then I was
because both teams are not good.
Yeah, it was just not. I mean, the Texans waited till the very end to earn all of their touchdowns. But I just got to tell you, boy, they can't get too many touchdowns in that stadium because the people go crazy when they get a touchdown. Like hugging, kissing, eating each other's popcorn, dancing. It was quite. My watch went off 1,000 times. Like, you were in a loud area. You're gonna be deaf if you don't get out of that place. So it was fun. Ate some nachos, and as I was walking back to my seat after the halftime, two guys walked up and they were just like, "Oh man, thanks," and took 2 of my nachos out my thing. I said, "Okay, this ain't Texas." That's how everybody's just having a good time. So fortunately, I was able to throw away the chips that probably they touched so I could stay alive. But other than that,
that would have been their last day.
You said what?
That would have been their last day.
So let's talk about it. Any insights about work from your work week, from your work days, from your readings, from your writings?
Any insight?
Yeah.
I guess, well, one thing I was going to share today when we talked about the job corner was this is not me saying it, this is colleagues that I work with said, do not bring your own tumbler or water bottle with you because it doesn't give them the opportunity to offer you water, tea, or coffee. So that was like a 15-minute conversation after post-interview talking about how people were disgruntled about that. I mean, I don't really care.
Bringing your own water bottle to the interview?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Wait, did you do that?
No, someone did that. We were interviewing someone and they brought their own tumbler to the interview.
I didn't know people did that. That's a good piece of advice. Don't bring your own. I mean, I guess people bring their water bottle a lot, so I guess I could see it. I wouldn't have ever done that. I wouldn't have done that.
As you sip your own water. Okay.
Now, from my Panthers Virginia Union University tumbler, yes.
Wait, what's wrong with that? Why can't you bring your own water?
Huh?
Why can't you bring your own water to the interview?
I mean, I just wouldn't. I don't know if you can't. I just think that's a lot to be carrying to an interview. So you should be like poised and dressed and ready and have your paper and your notebook, but a water, I guess if it shows that you're prepared because you know yourself well enough to know like, hey, I'm gonna be thirsty. All these questions they got me answering. So let me bring my own water. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What y'all think? Put it in the chat. Do y'all think that's really
please put it in the chat.
Preventing people from bringing it is a democracy. Bring your own water.
I mean, I just stayed silent in that conversation because I didn't see an issue with it.
Well, here's the other thing. I'm a germaphobe. And so I don't know. I mean, at least you know if your own cup is clean, it's whatever you want. But sometimes people just be giving you like the other day. Anyway, not going to go there. But some people can bring you a cup and you don't know what's in it. You don't know if it's washed. You don't know if it's clean. Coffee mug might have a little stain on it. Here's the other thing. I don't know if it's true, but if y'all have ever worked at a hotel, please put it in the chat. Someone told me unless you have a hotel where they wrap your glass in a sealed plastic bag, that you should not drink out of the glasses that are in your room because you've never seen a dishwasher in a room. And so they said that what housekeeping does is just sort of like rinse those glasses off, wipe them down with a towel and put them back up there. They're not like taken out and cleaned in some pressure cleaner and brought back to the rooms. I don't know if that's true, but I have gone to a hotel, really nice hotels before, and seen like thumbprints on the glass or little tint to the coffee mug. And so I don't know, because I'm pretty careful about the things I drink and eat. I just don't do it. So for me, if I brought my water bottle or tumbler to an interview, it would be because I'm trying to stay safe and clean. What you think?
Well, I don't know why anyone would give you just a coffee mug or a cup. I would assume that many would give you a water bottle that you can open. You can hear the twist and that it's sealed.
Oh, really?
If anyone gave me a cup, first of all, let's just stop playing games. Just a regular cup that you got out of the cabinet and put some water in it.
Yeah. They'll be like, hey, so you're at the interview. So-and-so will be with you shortly. Would you like anything to drink? We have coffee, we have tea, we have whatever. If you say coffee, they go get you a coffee mug, or they might get you one of those little styrofoam cups. But I mean, a lot of, especially in higher ed, they like getting them mugs like, this is not going to be one, but one of these that have the name of the school on it and put it down in front of you.
Okay. I haven't seen that, but
so here's the thing.
I probably wouldn't drink it though.
We know, okay, so we know, and you know what? And if you didn't, I wonder how people view that.
See,
so we learned
at this point, then, the thing is, if they ask me if I want water, tea, or coffee, just the answer is going to be no.
Wait, can you say bottled water? Is that Is
I
that
think that's okay.
what's that word?
Is it bougie?
Yeah.
Listen, someone's gonna see it as that.
What y'all think? Say something. Put it out there. I don't know. I feel like if I said yes, bottled water. Yes, I have a bottled water. And then you bring me a cup of water and be like, right? But we learned at a conference that a lot of our audience, both in the live and the after, are in higher ed, student affairs, those areas. I wonder, for those who are listening and will watch, like, have you thought about that? If you're interviewing a candidate and you give them a cup, like one of these cups, or a coffee mug, they may feel leery of drinking from it and not drink it. So are you mindful of that and say, oh, let me give them a bottled water, or, oh, let me go. Like, I was just on a campus and the woman said, hey, would you like a coffee? And I thought she meant like there's coffee somewhere around. She was like, there's a Starbucks nearby. She was going to go downstairs to get me Starbucks. And so I told her what I wanted. And when she brought it back, she had like the little sugar packs and little things all together. And I thought to myself, that was really thoughtful of her to like get extra, because I didn't tell her what I wanted in it. But she went downstairs to the Starbucks and got it for me. But I mean, it was in a cup. It wasn't in a mug. It wasn't a bottled water. I don't know. These are really interesting things to think about, especially in an interview context where people are, interpreting everything you do. Do you sit down? Do you, anyway.
Yeah, I think about those things. If there is coffee in the office, I typically like ask them when they first walk in and, walk over to the coffee station with them so they can make it themselves, or I can make it and they see me make it. Or other times we met at the Starbucks and started the interview there. We got coffee and talked and then, moved on to campus. If I ever ask anyone, or if anyone says they want water, I always do bottled water.
Bottled water?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I never really thought about that much to know like how people think about it, what's going on in their mind, how do people make decisions. But that is a good one. Okay, so I was thinking in terms of work, and I wasn't only thinking about like getting into the workforce, although I know that's part of what we're trying to do in this part of this segment. But when people apply to jobs, and I was talking to a friend of mine, actually fraternity brother and friend, yesterday, who is back in the workforce after some period of time because of layoffs and all sorts of things. And he was reflecting on like how long it took him to land a job. And one of the things that he agonized over was writing the cover letter. And he's like, I just never knew how to start. I don't really know what a cover letter is. I feel like sometimes it's like telling my story in first person. And other times I feel like it's an academic paper. And we ended up having a great conversation. And I think I settled on thinking about the fact that it's both. And it's a sort of academic exercise, but it is a very personal exercise too, where part of what you've got to do is, as he was saying, tell them like all the things you've done. But after he went on for a while, I was like, wait, you missed, in my opinion, the most important part of a cover letter. And that is, what about that track record helps you or equips you to do something for this employer? And he was like, oh, really? Like, what does that sound like in writing? And I was like, so for instance, if, I've had a consistent sort of record of grant winning in my career, and I've won federal, state, local grants and contracts of different kinds, some programmatic, some research-based, whatever. And so I might say, hey, I've had this solid track record of grant winning that has totaled this amount of money, and that's allowed me to do this at this place and this at this place. I'm excited about the possibility of leveraging these skills to win grants for you, or to secure funding for fill in the blank company, which will help us employ more people and run more programs in Third Ward of Houston. Does that make sense? And so what that does is it shows the employer through writing, hey, I've got all these skills and successes, but I'm not just braggadocious and bragging on myself. I'm also talking about how I can use them in my work with you. And I'm also demonstrating some knowledge of who you are and what you do through those last couple of examples. What do you think?
I like that. I think that's pretty spot on what a cover letter is. I think another thing I would add on to is like looking at the job description, see what they're looking for, kind of using that into the cover letter as well. Speaking to some of the things that they listed, showing that you have those skills or you've been there, done that. Something else I would add to it.
Yeah, I think so much of what we end up doing or saying sometimes requires people to think beyond like just what's my, or in order to really compete successfully with others, I think it requires more than just like, oh, here's what I've done. Here's my success. A cover letter should complement a resume, but not repeat the resume, in my opinion. It's not like you are saying, I did this, and then I took this job, and I was there for 3 years, and I took this other job, and I took this other job. But it's also trying to detail out like skills and accomplishments. And I think then how those skills and accomplishments can be used for your employer. So I remember one of my really close friends used to always like do a lot of research before he applied for jobs. And I never understood why it would take so long to apply for a job. And like he would say, oh, I read everything. I mean, went through their LinkedIn. I went through their Facebook. I looked online. I found this report. And I'm like, that's a lot. But I always thought of it as not like stalking in a scary sense, but like employer stalking. Like, why do you go through all of that? But then he would take a lot of notes, and then he would write his cover letter from those notes. And the one thing I can say about him is he always got interviews. Like if he applied, he was going to get the interview. And it wasn't some 4-page cover letter, usually in like a single page, maybe a page and a half, but pretty much he prided himself on single pages. He was always able to get an interview and quite often landed the job. So for anybody who's out there doing that, think about the cover letter, think about what is your track record and how do these skills set you up to really work for the employer, this employer that you're applying to. And that does, I think, like you said, require like reading the job description to see like, what are they looking for someone to do? That may mean, I just rattled off Third Ward of Houston only because I know that now. But if I didn't know what the Third Ward was, I would look it up, find out why is it significant, know more about the demographics of the area. What would this organization do in that particular area? And how does that relate to the job that I'm applying for? But also, how does that relate to things I've done in the past? So just, generally speaking, Third Ward, maybe not so much now, but it was once historically underserved, unrepresented, largely, diverse, urban. And so I might then talk about how I have worked and run programs that provided outreach to urban communities and the like. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's then flip to a couple more pieces here. I'm going to show a video in a moment, but I thought we might talk a little bit about Gen Z and work. And there's a clip that I found that I thought was pretty interesting. But I also thought our audience might benefit from knowing a little bit about Gen Zers. And I know everybody's talking about Gen Z and Generation Y. These are names and kind of associated with different generations who were born in a particular period of time. And Gen Y or whatever, Gen Y was millennials, Gen Z, and now we even have another generation they're trying to call Alpha. But periodically we'll talk about for most people, this is like the incoming workforce, people who are just now kind of maturing to the point that they would be in the workplace. And I say at their latest, probably these folks are mid to late 20s. And so let's then watch this clip if I can find it on my screen, and then discuss what they have to offer. Do people at your campus talk a lot about generational differences between students?
I think so. Yeah. For the most part, people do have those conversations in the office about the differences and how one generation works compared to the other. We're a pretty young group, so we have a few who are pretty seasoned that shares their thoughts and opinions about it.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up. This is Simon Sinek, and he typically has some good things to say. I don't want to click on this and then have it mess up, but let's do this. All right, let me know if this is showing. You don't see anything?
No, not yet.
Oh dear. Let's try this again.
You are in a very difficult and uncomfortable position, because I think leadership is more difficult now than it has ever been, because you're dealing with human anxiety, you're dealing with human uncertainty, you're dealing with human ambition and human egos, and again, especially young people who think they know what they want and don't, who have certainty and are very outspoken and do not mind going around their boss's boss to come to you. So you're going to be dealing with a 19-year-old saying, "Why am I not given this?" And you're like, "I don't need, where do you work?" They have no fear of doing that. They also have no fear of quitting. And so we've seen this pattern where, remember, they're as a young generation, they're actually less equipped to deal with stress than previous generations. And so anxiety is high, and they're very confrontation avoidant. So, for example, we've seen this where they feel like they deserve a raise, and they don't know how to ask for a raise. And so instead of asking for a raise, they'll just quit. And then sometimes with an email that says, "You don't value me, you don't pay me enough," you're like, we just had to ask. The answer, we love you, So they're not afraid of quitting, but they are afraid of asking for things. Or if they do ask for things, it sometimes comes across very aggressive or accidentally black and white. Like, I've been here 8 months and I would like a 50% raise. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, and the problem is that they're ill-equipped. What they're doing is they're putting you in a yes or no position. So even if you say, "Here's the plan to get you that over the course of the next 8 months," they take it as a no, because I asked for something black and white. And so one of the things I think there's a huge opportunity for our company is to help people to build in training that helps them with their human skills. I hate the term soft skills. Please, let's never use that term again. We talk about hard skills and soft skills. Those things are opposite. Hard and soft are opposites. They're hard skills, the skills you need to do your job, and human skills, the skills you need to be a better human being. And we want you to excel at both. And we're going to train you to do both. And some of the human skills that are underappreciated and undertrained in this day and age are how to have difficult conversations, how to have an effective confrontation, how to give and receive feedback. And I think we have to train those things so that if we equip them with the skills, instead of saying, I've been here for 8 months, I want a raise, to say, I've been here for 8 months, I really love it here. My goal is to stay here. I have financial ambitions. Can you help me get on a path to get to this number? Now we can have a conversation, because it's now a continuum rather than a black and white question. But the point is I don't fault them. They lack the skills. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for an organization like yours to teach these young people coping mechanisms, stress relief, the biggest one being how to ask for help. That is the single biggest thing that is lacking at every generation, which is, I am struggling, can you help me? Whether it's personal or professional. That is absolutely lacking. And so we do unhealthy things to help compensate, social media and other things.
My daughter is being treated for leukemia. It hit me hard. It did. Being a girl.
All righty. What'd you think?
Pretty accurate. I've seen many people and colleagues who want a raise and believe that they deserve it in a short period of time. And it is pretty black and white. It's a yes or no, approach. And I know for a fact today's employees they'll just quit instead of just having a conversation about what they're frustrated about or find difficult in the workplace. To them, they'll quit and find a new job because there are jobs out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting perspective. I'm not sure that I always agree that it's generational, because I think there's several pieces that he talks about that really resonate. I do like the juxtaposition of soft and hard skills. I'm not sure if human is the right replacement for soft, but there are skills that we must master in order to be better humans, right? And many of those we have to try out in the workplace. So I certainly think that there are times where we have to ask questions. We have to ask for more. We have to express ourselves. We've got to communicate our frustrations. We've got to have emotional intelligence. I was just saying this to a group of folks at Penn State and at the University of Nebraska that, our employers, what's this thing called? Focus group of employers of recent college graduates all agreed that the number one thing they want from today's college graduate, not those from 1955, although we love them, not 2005, although we love them too, but from like 2025 forward, they really want recent college graduates to have an EQ, emotional intelligence, right? So, you can come into the workplace and have all these skills. You can be bright and shiny. You can have the best pedigree. But if you can't manage your emotions and talk to people like they're human and know how to work through frustration and maintain your commitments and communicate when you're not, there's not a whole lot an employer can do with you, So I know for me, I've seen this a lot with people across a number of age ranges. But increasingly, I've been thinking, how can I start to cultivate these skills in the students that I teach? Because, I mean, a lot of the folks I'm dealing with are adults, and they're going to do what they want to do the way they're going to do it. And I get that. But if I'm going to try to help equip people and change the world, I think one way that I can be effective is through my teaching. And so I've spent more time asking students to share not what do they think, but why do they think it, and how do they communicate that? And what if I gave a scenario in my psych class this past week that was really trying to get them to understand, like, if you were dealing with a 6-year-old and a 16-year-old, how would you handle the situation? And I framed the conversation in a way that allowed me to show how some people, are so generous and nice and kind to the 6-year-old who's misbehaving, and they're cold and hardened to the 16-year-old. But a person who's in crisis is a person who's in crisis, whether they're 6, 16, or 60. And so I was trying to help them understand, like, that's interesting. Why would you treat a 16-year-old who's in crisis differently from a 6-year-old? And that let them lay these thoughts and perceptions and histories and their own experiences out to bear. Then we could work through them. That's really tapping into that emotional dimension of not what do I do, but how do I go about doing this? And why do I feel like a 16-year-old needs tough love, but a 6-year-old needs bubblegum and candy? That's that emotional intelligence part that I think Simon's talking about, that we need more of in the workplace, so that people can go, they can disagree, they can think that they are due promotion or a new opportunity, and can communicate that in a way that, one, isn't arrogant and laced with pompous, largely inflated sense of oneself, and be more palatable to a supervisor, to a manager, to a teammate, who can then help them build a plan or a strategy to get there.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, for sure. I think these are some skills that have to be developed and created. But, I also believe, well, I guess the question would be, like, why do we think that is? Why do we think that today's generation is more, I don't know what's the word, is like direct, straightforward, upfront, blunt about these things?
When you say these things, what do you mean?
Well, we're talking about, like, asking for a raise or having difficult conversations.
Well, good question. Y'all drop some thoughts in the chat. For me, I think there are lots of different factors that likely drive this belief. So I'll spend like a little bit of time on the first part, and that is what causes them to be more, what causes them to think that they are deserving, or I guess that's what they're saying, that they, and then maybe direct, although that's not my perception of that generation, or the incoming workers are not terribly direct, which is what he also says. He says, like, they don't know how to ask for stuff. So, and when they do ask for it, if they do it very black and white. And then I think the second is also, why are they that way? Why don't they know how to ask for stuff? So I think the first is, it's a, microwave generation. It's a instant kind of gratification culture, where this is a group of adults who, get frustrated when their text doesn't send in 3 seconds, that, can't manage without Wi-Fi, can't, gets frustrated if they have a 8-minute wait on Uber or Lyft. So waiting is not their strong suit, and they haven't had to do it, because most things, you pop on the TV, you go to YouTube, you activate the on-demand video, you can order your food it's very convenient, right? Instantaneous. serves you very quickly. And those are not bad things. Those are things I think are that's an advance in technology that I myself appreciate. But I think if we're not balancing that with still teaching, so even in a instantaneous microwave, automated world, we still have to teach people how to be patient with themselves, with the process, with others. That even though you can stay on YouTube and TikTok and your cell phone all day long by yourself, together with others but apart, we still have to teach students, young people, adults, aging adults, how to create community, how to be present in the moment, how to form friendships and work relationships, and how to dissolve or resolve friendships when they've run their course. Like this, again, instantaneous. This is a block generation, right? And I'm not, again, that's why the generation goes for a while to me, because it's from my age down that people block. You know, so like, if I don't talk to you anymore, I just block you. I mean, sure, because the technology allows you to, but I don't block. I do not block. I have very few people blocked on any of my accounts because I grew up in a family with a mother and a father who modeled for me how to communicate. And so, and communication is not always happy, sappy. It's not always mad and glad. So you got to work through these things. And so I'm appreciative of those lessons, sometimes direct and sometimes indirect. Sometimes I observe them disagreeing, and it helped me learn that every disagreement doesn't have to end in disaster. It helped me realize that every argument ain't a walkout, and every frustrating moment I've had isn't, I'm going to sell you on eBay. You know, it's like, I've got to sit with you and communicate with you. And so I take those skills with me into my adult life, where when people as friends or relationships have run their course, I'm very comfortable. Doesn't mean I don't hurt, doesn't mean I don't cry, doesn't mean I don't miss people, but to say like, hey, you know, this is no longer serving me well. I don't think it's serving you well. Hey, when you said this to me, it made me feel this way. And that's not a feeling that I want to have. So I'm hoping that we can work to resolve it. In fact, one of my closest friends and I were on a webinar just recently, and some people asked us, like, how have you all remained friends for so long? And he went first and said the exact same thing, that one, it was not like Skittles and rainbows the whole time, but what we've learned to do is never go to bed angry, never get up mad. You know, when there's an issue, lay it on the table and make time to deal with the issue, not name calling and hitting below the belt and trying to make you feel the blame or me feel the blame. We're friends for life. So we've got to work through this. So we hold each other accountable. I own what I own. He owns what he owns. We figure out a strategy for making it better, and then we move forward. Those things have really helped me as a supervisor, as an administrator, I'll stop there, because I often will find myself, you know, the referee in these workplace conversations. And it's particularly acute when I have someone who's, you know, 35 and under, who's struggling to be transparent and respectful and patient with someone who is older. And, you know, they cut them off, they talk over them, they put them down. And I'm like, where is this behavior coming from? But when you are in this, you can have it all now, very instant and quick. We may have missed, us as educators, those of you who are in the audience, I would love to hear from you, like K-12, higher ed, maybe we missed the opportunity to balance some of this with those human skills. I'll shut up by saying, tag you in, take it for a while. You know, ChatGPT is the newest invention, right? And everybody's using ChatGPT. I'm not here to knock it. I certainly appreciate what it brings to our lives. But the other week in my psych class, I asked students to do something And I realized in the discussion board, 75% of them use ChatGPT. How do I know? Because the answers were all the same. They sounded alike, very little variation. It looked like chat. It sounded like chat. And here's the thing, chat is good. Chat can generate. It's a generative AI. But what chat cannot do, it can't think on its own. It can't feel. It can't love. It can get close to these things, but that's the human side of it. So I flipped the assignment when I got in class and said, okay, so, and I'm going to do it again this week. You go ask chat the question. Let ChatGPT give you the answer. Because I already know you're going to do that. But here's the part. Now you have to read what chat gave you and tell me how you feel about what chat said. Do you agree or do you disagree? And that's really tapping into those human skills of analysis and vetting and feeling again. Anyway, I think he's right that this generation may struggle in those human domains, and they need more time to practice those skills.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think another thing I would kind of add to it is that I just believe this upcoming generation, even I would say, I guess I am in it, is, they don't trust people. They just simply don't trust others, and especially if they don't have a relationship with someone. I know, like, we had a conversation about your class, asking them about how they react to the 6-year-old and the 16-year-old, and they were drastically different. I think that, a lot of folks believe that because you're of a certain age, you should already know how to do certain things or already master a certain skill. And we don't have the patience or bandwidth to understand that some folks just don't know what they don't know, or, have certain experiences. So again, I think, like you say, like, people are just quick to cut other folks off, especially like if you're not related. It's easier for them to do that. Just push you aside and keep it pushing, rather than engaging in a conversation, asking, folks, why did you say that? Or when you said a certain thing, it made me feel this way. Something I don't believe that many of them are interested in.
Yeah, you say, it's interesting you say that, given kind of what you do, because one of the things that I was most surprised by, but I mean, I love how honest my students are and transparent they are, and the fact that they find my classroom a safe place to share. But I guess my question back to you, given what you said, is similar to so one of the students said something like, well, I would treat the 6-year-old and the 16-year-old differently, especially if I'm not related to them. And they were like, if it's like, he's like, I thought you were talking about like my kids or my nephew, but if not, and this is a student who is getting a degree in psychology because he wants to be a therapist. And, I almost fell on the floor, and I was like, wait a minute. Do you know how many people you're going to help or work with in your career who are not going to be related to you? So, this idea that somehow you have to be related to a person, or biological relationship is required in order to, be able to grow trusting relationships or bonds, to be able to be open and transparent and held accountable. How do you think about that as a, college counselor who recruits and works with students who you're not related to?
Well, one, I just really believe, trying to promote, encourage, or like just make sure students are successful, regardless of who they are, where they come from. Because I know the ins and outs of the institution, or, of admissions and so forth, what they should be looking, for, or things like that, what questions they should be asking. I mean, they don't have to be related to me because I want them to be successful. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the end all be all. There are some students where, listen, after a conversation and you're still trying to give a best example, you're just talking reckless and crazy about, like, what about the girls on campus, or where are the parties? At some point, I'm going to have to go to the next person, because it's not a serious conversation, about the things that, it's more than just parties and finding a partner. You still have to go to class, clubs and organizations, so forth. But, I believe that there are students who really want to go to school and there's information that they need to know to make the best decision. So I try to get them everything that I know so they can do that.
Yeah. I think the students who I work with, and so it's very interesting too, because although I do believe that what, Simon was sharing in the video, I've witnessed, confrontation avoidant, kind of, but interestingly, that doesn't mean that they don't create confrontation or that they can't they can't provoke some sort of conflict, right? But they do it usually through more passive aggressive kinds of ways, text messages or, avoidant kind of behaviors. I myself, again, can move to the, I'm not afraid of confrontation because I don't think confrontation is a bad thing. I do think and believe very strongly in productive confrontation. Some of the best, most durable relationships, workshops I've ever had came through productive confrontation. I think I was telling you the other week, I had a situation at work where something just was misunderstood, and rather than go to the water cooler, wherever that is, and start talking about people, I just went to the person and said, "Hey, can we go for a walk?" Went outside and was like, "Hey, when I said this, I didn't mean anything by that. I don't know what was interpreted into it. I don't know if it resonated with something else, but here was my my reality. Here was my intention. And from that, I thought that would be received in a very positive spirit, but it's clear to me that it did not. So first of all, I just want to own the fact that I'm aware. I can tell that it didn't land the way I wanted, right? And I didn't gaslight them and say, "Well, that's on you. You should have a tough skin. That's your problem, not my problem." I just said, I can obviously see that I upset you. I frustrated you. That wasn't my intention. And because it's not my intention, why in the world would I have any problem just admitting that? And I was like, so here's what my intention was, and here's what my message was. Help me understand, why didn't it land, so I can be better in the future? Or if you have advice for me. And what I learned was this person had another experience that this kind of felt like, and it wasn't me per se. They were already on edge. And, I just thought about it those are the kinds of moments where typically something like that happens in the workplace. Someone doesn't address it. They side eye somebody, then they go talk to someone. Before you know it, teams are divided. Offices are divided. Supervisors and employees are divided. And before you know it, a good workplace is shattered, torn, toxic. And as a person who studies workplaces, I'm often interested in that, because every single person gets up in the morning and wants to go to work. Well, every single person, when they get a job, that you wanted to work there. And that's true for everybody. I mean, there was a day where you wanted to work there, and then something happens, right? And before you know it, no one wants to be there. No one wants to be in the office. No one wants to whatever. So I think having these kind of productive conversations, understanding that just because it might be your natural sort of tendency to be conflict avoidant, or to be passive aggressive, or to not be direct, or to say hey, I'm amazing, I deserve a 50% raise, without patience or any strategy to get there. You have to develop the EQ, the emotional intelligence, to be humble, to be open, to be honest, to give feedback, to receive feedback, and to not fall apart because of that. To know that just because someone has feedback for me doesn't mean that I failed or I'm bad, but it's good. It's useful. It's productive to be able to do it. So I was talking to someone on my team this week and offered feedback. It was beautiful. A situation happened, and then I confronted them and talked and offered feedback hey, these kind of things typically shouldn't happen in the work setting, and going forward, here's how you might handle it. And the very next day, they said something back to me, which was similar to what I had just said to them. And I was like, well, isn't that interesting that now you're saying it and you just did something similar yesterday? And he said, without hesitation, he said, and I learned a lot from the feedback you gave me yesterday. And I was like, whoa, often people don't pick it up that quickly and put it right to practice. It's not like, hey, I'm going to hold on to this or harbor some feelings. It's like, you gave me feedback and I course corrected based on this feedback. And that course correction and that feedback now allows me to see that this person over here needs a pivot. And that's exactly, so now the feedback pays it forward through another person, right? And it wasn't even like a formal kind of feedback session.
Yeah. At what point, I'll ask you, but I'm gonna answer first. But like, at what point did you learn to take feedback and not view it as failure or you got it wrong? For me, it was in college, I think, is when a supervisor turned friend now pulled me aside and talked to me about, tardiness, showing up on time, and showing up in a professional setting and why it's important. And I will admit, I was a sophomore at the time in college, and I was upset. I mean, it was, everything I was doing was not wrong. And I shared that frustration with them, and in a calm tone, they just said, like, no, sir, that is not going to get you anywhere if you keep talking like that. And here is why. And they laid it out. And we had a conversation. And again, it took 30 to an hour, maybe. I was frustrated for the most part, but at the end of it, I understood. And now for me, when I receive feedback, not all the time, I'm not going to sit here and say like all the time I don't get frustrated with the feedback, but, I sit with it and think about, okay, let me read, what, if it's in an email, let me read it, sit with it, take a step back, think about it, put myself in their shoes. Or if it's in face-to-face, I'm pretty much just going to sit there and take it and then reflect on it. But I really just listen to the words, not the tone, not, regardless of if they're screaming or if it's a stern or whatever, just really listen to the words, take those words and try to apply it to practice. Yeah.
It's interesting. And I guess, for those of you who are out there, share your reality, your experience. It's a good question. And I'm thinking, for the most part, my life was set up to where I had to receive feedback and learn how to process it. So I was in a fight. Oh my gosh, I was younger. I don't remember how old, but my brother and I, my sister, we were what people call latchkey kids. My parents worked all of my life. And so after school, we had keys to let ourselves in the house because we would have to be there for a little bit of time before my mom or dad got off work. And we might, whatever, cook. Sometimes we would go to this thing called the YMCA, the rec center. And I remember, if I remember correctly, I was at the rec center and someone was bullying me. We didn't call it bullying, but picking on me. And so I took my pizza, which I had just microwaved, and threw it at him and smeared it all in his face and stuff like that to get away from him as I ran away. I think my brother told on me. I'm sure I got in trouble. But what my mom and dad did was they put me and my brother in Taekwondo lessons. And so I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. So is my brother. As a result of this, since single digit age, I was getting feedback. So, sports became a way to get feedback, right? From Taekwondo, from track, from all of those, from coaches. And Master Kim, who was my first Taekwondo teacher, would often, I forget what he called me, grasshopper, because I would bounce around and jump around a lot because I was so little. And he would tell me get in the line and get in formation and stop goofing off and drop and give him 20 push-ups, whatever. So I learned very early on that feedback, whether it's good or bad, I wasn't able to reject it, right? I had to receive it. As I moved from white belt to green belt to yellow belt to blue belt on the up. I think those were some of my first that's one, right? And then, so that's why I said like my life. And then I was enamored with our musician at church. Her name is Ruthenia Happy Clark, still an incredible musician. But I would watch Happy play the organ, and I just fell in love with music, especially keys. And so through my mom, dad, grandmother, got into piano lessons. And through piano lessons, you get feedback all the time. You know, your formation's wrong, your fingering's wrong, you're playing wrong, you're off key, you got to practice, right? I had a teacher who would pop my hands. And so that form of feedback would often help me realize, like, I'm not a failure. Because sometimes I would be making progress, incremental progress. I didn't know that term at the time, but I wasn't mastering the song. And so I couldn't, you know, I'm not going to pretend like there weren't days I didn't internalize it and it deflated me and I didn't want to practice and I gave up the instrument. I played the violin and I gave up the violin in 6th grade because it wasn't cool for boys to play the violin. I regret that because now I'm trying to learn the guitar and I would be a beast at the guitar if I had stuck with the violin. But music and sports and taekwondo and things like that, I think have been places where I've always gotten feedback and I've had to take it as constructive, even if it felt destructive, and do something with it. And that kind of transported me, to your point, to college and certainly into my academic career, where if you get nothing as a professor, you get feedback on your papers, feedback on your book. I got a book now that I've got nothing but feedback from a copy editor and got to get through. So I think that's when I learned it first. And it has helped me because now, even in the workplace, I'm often called upon to give feedback. But quite often I will lay myself open and say to my team, say to my faculty, say to my academic affairs family, like, look, if you got feedback for me, give it to me. I mean, I'm not saying punch me in the face or make me feel bad about myself, but if there's something, if I'm talking too much, if I'm talking too little, if I'm not being clear, if I'm being too, vague, help me get better. And I know that's a journey, but hopefully we're all accepting that we're works in progress. Say something.
I got nothing.
Well,
I just realized what computer you were on because I saw it move. I was like, but it clicked.
The screen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All right. So this concludes another episode of Do Good Work Podcast. And definitely want to thank all of y'all for tuning in. Listen, you know what to do. If you don't mind going to social media, certainly to subscribe to the YouTube channel, go to Facebook, like and follow us on LinkedIn, and we will be following up. See you again next week on Sunday at 8 p.m. for the next episode of Do Good Work. Listen, as you go out into the week, it's Sunday. We're about to roll into Monday. Don't be afraid to do something. But if you're going to do something good. And y'all know what we call it, doing good work.